Want to grow the best peppers you've ever tasted? Forget everything you think you know about gardening. My grandmother, who grew peppers that made everyone in our small farming community jealous, shared secrets passed down for generations. These aren't just tips, they're ancient wisdom that will transform your garden and your harvest. Her pepper plants were legendary, producing more abundant crops, developing deeper flavors, and thriving in ways that left seasoned gardeners scratching their heads in wonder. Every morning before dawn, my grandmother would walk through her pepper rows with a cup of coffee in one hand and what she called her morning blessing in the other. This wasn't some mystical ritual, but rather a profound understanding of plant biology wrapped in tradition. She would gently brush her fingers along the stems and leaves, checking for moisture levels, pest activity, and overall plant health through touch alone. This daily connection taught her to read her plants like an open book, detecting problems weeks before they became visible to the untrained eye. The real magic happened in what she called soil love, a concept that went far beyond simply adding fertilizer to dirt. She understood that healthy soil was a living ecosystem, teeming with beneficial microorganisms that formed symbiotic relationships with pepper roots. Her soil preparation began in fall, when she would bury kitchen scraps, fallen leaves, and aged chicken manure in deep trenches between future pepper rows. By spring, this decomposed matter had created what modern gardeners now recognize as incredibly rich, bioactive soil that naturally suppressed diseases and provided sustained nutrition throughout the growing season. Perhaps most surprisingly, my grandmother's approach to patience directly correlated with the heat and complexity of her peppers. While neighbors rushed to plant their seedlings at the first sign of warm weather, she waited until soil temperatures consistently reached 65 degrees Fahrenheit, even if it meant planting 2 weeks later than everyone else. This patience allowed her pepper plants to establish stronger root systems and develop more complex flavor compounds, resulting in peppers that had both intense heat and nuanced taste profiles that store-bought varieties simply couldn't match. My grandmother never bought a single pepper seedling in her 50 years of gardening, and for good reason. She understood that starting from seed allowed her to select for traits that suited her specific growing conditions and taste preferences. Each year, she would save seeds from her best-performing plants, those that showed disease resistance, produced abundantly, and developed the most complex flavors. This selective breeding over decades created varieties that were perfectly adapted to our local climate and soil conditions. The art of seed saving went beyond simply collecting dried peppers. She would only harvest seeds from peppers that had fully ripened on the plant, ensuring maximum genetic potential. These seeds were then dried on screens in her attic for exactly 6 weeks before being stored in small glass jars with bay leaves to deter insects. She labeled each variety with detailed notes about the parent plant's characteristics, creating a genetic library that improved with each passing season. What she called the pepper dance was actually an ingenious method of encouraging strong stem development and root growth. Instead of staking young plants right away, she would, gently shake each plant for about 30 seconds every few days, just to simulate the natural wind stress they'd get outside. This technique, which is now scientifically proven to strengthen plant structure through a process called thigmomorphogenesis, led to stockier plants with thicker stems so they could support heavy fruit loads without breaking. The gentle stress also encouraged deeper root development, making her plants more drought-resistant and honestly more efficient at taking up nutrients. While most gardeners seem to obsess over finding the perfect sunny spot, my grandmother's pepper patch thrived in what a lot of folks would consider less than ideal conditions. She actually chose a spot that got morning sun, but was protected from the harsh afternoon heat by a big old oak tree. This, seemingly odd choice, actually mimicked the natural growing conditions of many pepper species, which evolved in forest clearings with dappled light, not out in the blazing desert sun. Her intuitive gardening approach taught me to, really observe plants as individuals, rather than treating them as just a uniform crop. She'd spend time each evening just sitting among her peppers, watching how different varieties responded to the day's weather, and noting which plants seemed stressed and which ones looked especially vigorous. This careful observation allowed her to adjust watering, provide a little extra shade, or harvest at just the right time based on each plant's unique needs instead of sticking to some rigid schedule. The cornerstone of her success was what she called her secret sauce, a compost tea recipe that had been refined through 3 generations of gardeners in our family. She would fill a large barrel with water and add aged compost, worm castings, kelp meal, and fish emulsion, allowing the mixture to ferment for exactly 2 weeks while stirring daily. This nutrient-rich liquid provided not just fertilization, but also introduced beneficial microorganisms that strengthened plant immunity and improved soil structure. The weekly application of this compost tea created an underground network of healthy soil life that sustained her pepper plants through drought, disease pressure, and pest attacks. My grandmother's approach to pest control was based on understanding ecological relationships rather than waging war against insects. She strategically planted marigolds, basil, and nasturtiums throughout her pepper rows, creating a polyculture that naturally repelled harmful insects while attracting beneficial predators. The strong scents of these companion plants masked the pepper plant's natural attractants, making them harder for pests to locate while providing habitat for spiders, ladybugs, and parasitic wasps that kept harmful insect populations in check. Her friendly bug philosophy taught me that a healthy garden ecosystem includes both good and bad insects in careful balance. Rather than panicking at the first sign of aphids, she would wait and watch, often finding that natural predators arrived within days to handle the problem. When intervention was necessary, she used simple solutions like spraying affected plants with a mixture of dish soap and water or introducing beneficial nematodes to control soil-dwelling pests. This patience and ecological awareness resulted in gardens that became more resilient and productive over time. So, disease prevention in her pepper patch really depended on proper spacing, good air circulation, and, maintaining healthy soil, rather than just reacting to problems after they popped up. She actually planted her peppers farther apart than what most modern guides recommend, which gave them excellent airflow and, honestly, helped keep those pesky fungal diseases at bay. Every week, she'd stroll through the garden and, if she spotted any yellowing or spotted leaves, she'd remove them right away, stopping disease spread before it could even get started. And when she did run into serious disease pressure, her trusted solution was a baking soda spray, which she'd apply early in the morning. This changed the pH on the leaf surfaces and basically made things pretty unfriendly for most fungal pathogens. The timing of harvest was perhaps where my grandmother's expertise shone brightest. While most gardeners picked peppers based on size or color, she harvested based on these subtle signs that indicated peak flavor development. For hot peppers, she waited until the skin developed a slight wrinkle and the stem connection showed these tiny stress marks, which meant maximum capsaicin production. Sweet peppers, on the other hand, were picked when they made a distinct hollow sound when tapped gently, revealing that the walls had reached optimal thickness and sugar content. Her preservation techniques honestly ensured that the garden's bounty lasted well into winter while maintaining both nutritional value and complex flavors. Rather than just freezing whole peppers, she would roast them over an open fire until the skins charred, then pack them in olive oil with garlic and herbs. This process concentrated flavors while creating natural preservation through acidity and oil barriers. And her dried pepper strings weren't just decorative, they were carefully arranged to ensure proper air circulation, preventing mold while maintaining the pepper's essential oils that gave them their distinctive heat and flavor profiles. The legacy of her pepper garden extended far beyond the vegetables themselves. Each season brought new lessons about patience, observation, and working with natural systems rather than against them. She taught me that exceptional gardening results from understanding plants as living beings with individual needs, not just treating them as production units to be manipulated. Her methods created gardens that improved year after year, becoming more productive and resilient as the soil life developed and plant selections became perfectly adapted to local conditions. These time-tested techniques offer modern gardeners a pathway to growing peppers that really do surpass anything available in stores or garden centers. By combining traditional wisdom with patient observation and ecological understanding, you can create pepper gardens that produce exceptional harvests while building soil health and supporting beneficial wildlife. The investment in learning these methods pays dividends for decades, as each season builds upon the success of the previous year. Remember to subscribe to Smart Garden for more traditional gardening wisdom and practical growing techniques that will transform your harvest. And hey, share this guide with fellow gardeners who appreciate the value of time-tested methods and want to discover the profound satisfaction of growing truly exceptional peppers using generations of accumulated knowledge.